Hi everyone, welcome back. This is part 3, the final episode of my PhD thesis journey series, how I survived my PhD thesis journey, tips, challenges, and lessons learned. If you've watched parts 1 and 2, you already know that a PhD is not just an academic degree, it's an emotional, mental, and sometimes existential journey. And today, I want to share the final stage, finishing strong, surviving the defense, and reflecting on everything I learned along the way. Now, let's move into the discussion and scientific interpretation section of your thesis. This is where your research truly comes to life. While the results section presents what you found, the discussion explains what it means. In this segment, we'll focus on 4 key factors. 1. Compare with previous studies. 2. Explain mechanisms and implications. 3. Address limitations honestly. 4. Propose future research directions. Let's break this down clearly. 1. Compare with previous studies. Start by relating your findings to existing literature. Ask yourself, do your results support previous studies? Do they contradict them? Do they fill a knowledge gap? Highlight areas of agreement to strengthen your credibility. If your findings differ from earlier research, discuss possible reasons, such as differences in methodology, sample size, environmental conditions, or experimental design. This comparison demonstrates that you understand the field and positions your work within the broader scientific conversation. 2. Explain mechanisms and implications. Now, go deeper. Interpret your major findings and explain the possible biological, chemical, physical, or theoretical mechanisms behind them. For example, what pathway could explain the observed increase in gene expression? What environmental factor might have influenced the results? What theoretical model supports your findings? Then, discuss the implications. Does this advance scientific understanding? Does it have clinical, industrial, or environmental applications? Does it challenge an existing theory? This is where you show your ability to think critically and scientifically. 3. Address limitations honestly. Every study has limitations, and acknowledging them does not weaken your thesis. In fact, it strengthens your credibility. Be transparent about sample size constraints, methodological limitations, technical uncertainties, potential biases. Avoid defensive language. Instead, frame limitations constructively. For example, although the sample size was limited, the consistent trend observed across replicates supports the robustness of the findings. Honest evaluation reflects scientific maturity. 4. Propose future research directions. A strong discussion does not end with conclusions, it opens doors for future work. Based on your findings and limitations, what questions remain unanswered? What experiments should be conducted next? What new hypotheses emerged from your study? Keep suggestions realistic and directly connected to your research. Avoid vague statements like, more research is needed. Instead, propose specific directions. Organizing the discussion logically. To maintain clarity and flow, start with your major findings. Interpret them clearly. Compare with literature. Discuss implications. Address limitations. End with future directions. Avoid repeating detailed numerical data that belongs in the results section. Be concise. Focus on critical insights. If complex concepts need clarification, you may refer to figures or tables, but avoid introducing excessive new data. Final advice. Your discussion section should be analytical, balanced, scientifically grounded, logically structured. This is the section where you demonstrate your expertise and critical thinking ability. Finally, let's move to the conclusion and summary segment of your thesis. This is the closing chapter of your research, the last impression you leave on your readers. A strong ending should be clear, confident, and impactful. In this section, we will focus on 4 key factors. 1. Restate research objectives and key findings. 2. Provide interpretation and implications. 3. Address limitations of the study. 4. Offer recommendations and future directions. Let's learn the difference between summary and conclusion. Many students confuse the summary and the conclusion, but they serve different purposes. A summary provides a clear and concise overview of your entire thesis. It typically restates your research objectives, briefly describes your methodology, highlights your key findings. Importantly, the summary does not include deep interpretation or critique. It presents essential information in a factual and neutral manner. The goal is to help readers quickly understand What was studied? How it was studied. What was found. A well-written summary orients the reader before transitioning into final reflections. In contrast, the conclusion goes beyond restating information. This section is analytical, reflective, interpretative. Here, you explain what your findings mean in the broader context of your field. Let's break it down clearly. 1. Restate research objectives and key findings. Begin by revisiting your original research objectives or hypotheses. Show clearly that your study has addressed the research questions. Then briefly highlight the most important findings, not every detail, but the core outcomes. This reinforces the coherence of your thesis and reminds readers of your main contributions. 2. Interpretation and implications. Now move beyond description. Explain why your findings matter, how they contribute to knowledge, whether they support or challenge existing theories, their practical, clinical, industrial, or societal relevance. This is where you demonstrate the significance of your work. Avoid introducing new data. Focus on synthesizing insights and emphasizing impact. 3. Limitations of the study. A strong conclusion acknowledges limitations honestly and professionally. Briefly summarize key constraints such as sample size, methodological boundaries, technical limitations, external validity concerns. Keep this section concise. The goal is transparency, not self-criticism. 4. Recommendations and future directions. End your thesis by looking forward. Based on your findings and limitations, what future studies should be conducted? What improvements could be made in methodology? What new questions emerged? Be specific and realistic. Strong recommendations show that your research opens new avenues rather than closing the discussion. Final takeaway. Your summary provides a structured overview. Your conclusion provides meaning, reflection, and impact. Together, they should 1. Reinforce your research objectives. 2. Highlight your key contributions. 3. Demonstrate critical thinking. 4. Leave a lasting academic impression. Remember, this is your final opportunity to communicate the value of your work. Make it clear, confident, and purposeful. On a different note, let's discuss the final stage of your PhD journey: editing, submission, and viva preparation. This stage is crucial because it ensures that all your hard work is presented clearly, professionally, and persuasively. Here, we'll focus on 4 key factors you should consider. 1. Check formatting and references. 2. Prepare answers for defense questions. 3. Explain methodological choices. 4. Highlight real-world impact. Editing your thesis. Editing can be challenging because it requires attention to clarity, logical flow, and consistency across all chapters. A practical approach is to edit in stages: content and structure. Ensure your arguments are clear, each chapter flows logically, and your objectives and conclusions are well connected. Language refinement. Focus on grammar, readability, and precise scientific language. Formatting and guidelines. Align your document with your university's requirements for margins, headings, citations, tables, and figures. Using peer feedback or editing tools can help catch mistakes you might overlook and improve overall readability. Managing submission. Meeting submission requirements and deadlines can be stressful. Tips for smooth submission. Keep a checklist of formatting rules, references, figures, and tables. Start editing early to avoid last-minute pressure. Set milestones and allocate time for final proofing. A systematic approach reduces stress and ensures your thesis meets all institutional standards. Preparing for the viva. The viva is your opportunity to defend and showcase your research. Key preparation steps. Summarize key findings. Be able to explain your results clearly and concisely. Anticipate questions. Think about possible questions from supervisors, examiners, or peers. Explain methodological choices. Justify why you used certain methods and how they strengthen your study. Highlight real-world impact. Emphasize the significance of your research beyond academia. Practice delivering answers confidently and systematically. Treat feedback constructively, document any revisions carefully, and remain composed during the defense. Final advice. Editing, submission, and viva preparation are the last but most critical steps of your PhD journey. 1. Edit in stages for clarity and consistency. 2. Follow formatting and submission guidelines meticulously. 3. Prepare thoroughly for viva questions. 4. Showcase the significance and impact of your research. With careful preparation, this final stage can be rewarding and empowering, letting your research shine in its best form. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions or inquiries, drop us a message in the comments below. We'll be happy to help and respond as best as we can. If you found this tutorial helpful, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more content.